killed my brother, and now you want forgiveness?
I didn't kill him. He died saving me.
Lies don't sound better in Italian, Luca.
Then listen in truth. Your brother's last words were, "Save her."
You expect mercy from the color you destroyed?
No. I expect justice from the heart you still have.
When the black waitress whispered, "Non uxodir mio fratello," "Don't kill my brother," the entire Mafia hall froze. The boss, who never feared blood, felt his hands tremble. She shouldn't have known that language or his past. In that one Italian sentence, she opened a wound buried for years. And the man who owned death forgot how to breathe. The restaurant smelled of espresso and fear. Midnight light bled through the glass, painting silver across her brown skin as she wiped the counter for the 5th time, waiting for him. The man who ordered in silence, whose guard spoke only with eyes. Tonight, he came alone. Luca Moretti, the name whispered in both prayer and terror. His tailored coat dripped rain, his silence danger. Maya steadied her breath. When their eyes met, she felt the same chill her brother had felt the night he disappeared. "Un caffè nero," he said. "A black coffee." His voice was low, foreign, the kind that commanded both respect and regret. She poured the coffee, but her hands trembled. He noticed. "You're scared," he said quietly. "No," she lied. "Just tired of serving men who think they own the world." The corner of his mouth twitched, then stopped serving. She looked up. "And starve?" He didn't answer. Instead, his gaze softened, not pity but memory. Something in her face reminded him of someone he'd buried too long ago. The clock ticked. The lights flickered. Outside, thunder cracked like a warning. Maya leaned closer, whispering words that shattered the air between them. "Non uxodir mio fratello." "Don't kill my brother." Luca's hand froze midair. His heart, the one that had survived wars and betrayals, forgot its rhythm. He whispered back, "How do you know those words?" "Because you said them," she replied. "The night he begged you to spare him." The cafe went silent. Even the rain stopped listening. That was twist one. The night the hunter realized his victim had a voice. Luca rose slowly, the chair scraping against the tile. "You're his sister." "I was," she said, "until your men found him." He swallowed hard. "I didn't kill him." Her laugh was sharp, bitter. "No, you just watched." Something in his eyes cracked. A truth he'd buried under luxury and blood. "Your brother wasn't meant to die," he said softly. "He was protecting me." Her anger stumbled. "Protecting you?" He nodded, trembling for the first time in years. "He found the bomb under my car. He pushed me away. The explosion." She stepped back, her breath breaking. The image of her brother's burnt shoes flashed in her memory. She had blamed the Mafia, blamed Luca, blamed every white man who looked like power. And now the truth twisted again. That was twist two, the night the victim became the savior. Tears blurred her eyes. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" He looked away. A black man saving a Mafia boss? No one would have believed it. Not in this world. Maya's voice cracked. "So you let him die a criminal?" "I built this empire for him," Luca said. "Every deal, every gun dropped, because one man showed me mercy when no one else did." She stared at him, trying to hate him, but the fury began to melt into something heavier, grief. The thunder outside grew louder. The lights flickered again. A police siren echoed in the distance, closer, louder. Someone had tipped them off. Luca took a deep breath. "You need to leave. Now." "I'm not running. They'll kill you if they see us together." "Then we both die," she whispered. He looked at her. The waitress who spoke his mother's tongue. The woman whose brother had changed his fate. For the first time, the Mafia boss was in control. "Why do you care?" he asked. She smiled through tears. "Because racism taught me to hate your kind, but my brother died proving we're the same." The door burst open. Flashlights, shouts, chaos. Lucas stepped in front of her as guns were drawn. His last words were barely audible. "Tell them my name was never clean, but my heart was." Then the shot echoed. The waitress dropped to her knees beside him, coffee mixing with blood on the floor. Outside, the rain began again, washing away the lie that had lived between color and crime. Rain hammered the glass as if the sky itself wanted in. The cafe was now a war zone of sirens and shadows. Maya stood with her back to the counter, her trembling hands stained with both coffee and blood. Luca was still breathing, barely. His chest rose in stutters, each gasp more fragile than the last. The air reeked of gunpowder and regret. "Don't move," shouted a voice from outside. But she didn't care who was aiming anymore. The man she hated most in the world had taken a bullet for her. The first twist snapped like a whip. Luca, the same man who had ordered her brother's death, had stepped in front of her when the police fired. "They weren't aiming at you," he rasped, coughing blood. "They were aiming at me." She pressed her hand against his wound, eyes wide, heartbreaking. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. His answer came slow, like confession. "Because your brother's last words weren't begging for his life. He begged me to save yours." The world tilted. Everything she thought she knew about justice, about hate, crumbled into silence. The middle beat grew louder. Sirens multiplied. Lights flashed through the windows. Boots hit the floor. The police flooded in, guns drawn, shouting commands she couldn't hear. Maya raised her hand, shaking, but her eyes never left Luca's face. "Stay with me," she pleaded. "You don't get to die before telling the truth." He smiled faintly, his voice a whisper of guilt. Truth never mattered to them. Only color did. The officer leading the charge hesitated. The same one who had ignored her brother's case years ago. Recognition flickered in his eyes. The same system that failed her was about to call her a criminal again. The second twist cut deeper than any bullet. The police weren't here to arrest Luca. They were here for her. Someone had framed her as a leak in the Mafia's cover-up, painting her as the traitor who tipped off the feds. "Hands behind your head," the officer barked. Luca tried to rise, but the pain folded him in half. "No," he gasped. "She's not one of us." But the officer didn't care. The sight of a black woman beside a bleeding mob boss was all the evidence they needed. The same cycle, the same lie, justice in uniform, blind in color. Maya's heart thundered in her ears. For a moment, she saw her brother standing beside her, his voice echoing, asterisk, "Don't let them decide who you are." Asterisk, she took a deep breath and turned toward the crowd of officers, tears cutting through the soot on her cheeks. "You want a confession?" she shouted. "Here it is." Her voice broke through the chaos, strong, defiant. "The only crime I ever committed was surviving people like you." The room froze. No one expected her to speak, let alone rise. The silence was heavier than the storm outside. Luca's blood-soaked hand reached for hers. "You have to run," he whispered. "Please." But she shook her head. No more running. Not from truth, not from them. She looked at him, this broken man who had killed, loved, and now finally bled for something real. "You gave me your guilt. I'll give you forgiveness." His lips trembled into a faint smile. "That's the one thing I never earned." His pulse faltered, his eyes closed, and for a moment, even time stopped breathing. The rain outside softened. The lights dimmed. Maya knelt there, surrounded by men with guns and ghosts with unfinished business. When they took her away, She didn't fight. Her face was calm, her tears steady. Because somewhere between hate and mercy, she had finally found her brother's voice again, alive inside her courage. And as the door shut behind her, the last echo of the night carried his words through the storm. Asterisk, maybe love was the only justice we ever had. Asterisk, the courtroom smelled like rain and bleach, clean but haunted. Maya stood alone before a sea of reporters, her wrists still red from the cuffs that once screamed guilty. The judge's voice droned, yet every eye was on her. Asterisk, the black waitress who made a mafia boss confess. Asterisk, the world had already written her story, but not the truth. Not the part where love looked like sacrifice and racism looked like justice in disguise. The tapes Luca left behind changed everything. They revealed the corruption, the secret deals, the night her brother saved a man he was supposed to hate. When the videos went public, the city burned with shame. Protesters flooded the streets chanting her name, not as a criminal, but as a mirror to a broken system. For the first time, color didn't divide the crowd. Pain did. As the verdict echoed, not guilty, Maya didn't smile. She just closed her eyes. Freedom didn't feel like victory. It felt like survival. She walked out into the same rain that once washed Luca's blood away, each drop whispering the truth louder than the crowd's applause. She stopped by the old cafe, now boarded up, its windows like empty eyes. She placed a single white tulip on the step, whispering, "For both of you." And then came the master twist. The moment she reached the corner, a black car stopped. The door opened, and a familiar voice, soft and trembling, spoke from inside. "Maya," she froze. "Luca, older, scarred, alive. They buried the wrong man," he said. "I had to disappear to make them believe the truth." Her breath caught. Tears blurred the world into trembling light. "You faked your death?" He nodded. "Your brother saved my life once. You saved my soul. I owed you both the truth." For a heartbeat, the universe forgot to spin. He reached out, pressing a small envelope into her palm. Inside, her brother's scholarship papers, signed by the Moretti Foundation. "His dream lives," Luca whispered, "under your name." She wanted to speak, but he was already gone, swallowed by rain and headlights. She looked up at the sky, whispering through her tears, maybe love really was the only justice we ever had. And as the camera of life pulled back, rain, streetlights, the faint glow of hope, the world saw not a waitress or a gangster, but two souls who rewrote what it meant to be human. If this story made your heart pause for a second, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere, someone still believes that mercy can break the rules of blood and color.